Even men at the top of their game find themselves wanting more from life. Whether it's more meaning, unshakable confidence, a bigger impact, more money, deeper love, a hotter sex life, or a powerful legacy. Find out how good your life can be on this episode of Man Alive. Also, as I've supported men in their love and work lives for 15 years now, many men ask for the right words to say to be more successful, attractive, and desirable. But I found it's not so simple as giving scripts or lines because every man is different. So giving words or scripts would be like giving a tall, thin man a shorter, wider man's pants, or vice versa. The words have to make sense for you and your personality, and there's so much happening beneath the surface that people are responding to. If you're interested in how to become a better lover and leader in your own unique way, go to shanajamescoaching.com/quiz, or you can text ALIVE to 44144. It only takes a couple minutes and you'll start to get an idea of how you can be both more respected and desired. After you fill it out, we can schedule a time to review your quiz and talk about your specific challenges and desires. So again, go to either shanajamescoaching.com/quiz or text ALIVE to 44144. That's ALIVE to 44144. Enjoy this episode of Man Alive. Hello and welcome to this episode of Man Alive. Today is going to be a fun one because I have one of my favorite people, Tripp Lanier, here to talk about his new book, This Book Will Make You Dangerous. Welcome, Tripp. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Shana. Good to see you again.
Good
as
to
always.
See you.
It's fun.
It's fun. I really love that you bring in the fun as well as the depth. We've been colleagues. You've coached me. We've been in the world together for, I don't know, a good 15 years. And we're aging ourselves. I appreciate so much that, that your playful way really allows for more of not only truth to be revealed, but also more creativity and more boldness. And, as I read your book, I really had this sense of like, oh, all the little shit I worry about, or we were just joking about me being neurotic, right? All the shit that I'm neurotic about, it's really just not that important. And so we'll get more into your book, but let me give you a quick bio before we start in case people do not know of you. So as I said, Tripp is the author of This Book Will Make You Dangerous, and he coaches men to get out of the rat race, to become an authority in their field and make a great living doing meaningful work they love. From small business owners to startup founders to Navy SEALs, Tripp has coached anyone and everyone who refuses to settle or play it safe or even follow the herd. As the host of the New Man podcast, he's racked up millions of downloads conducting interviews with extraordinary thinkers in business, personal growth, and spirituality. And he lives a quiet, simple life with his wife and daughter near the beach in North Carolina.
Yes. That happened. That's all happening. Yes.
It's all happening. All right. The thing that I wanted to know as I was listening to your book, I always want to say reading, but I don't know if that's cheating if I say listening, reading. I don't know if it matters, but I listened to the audio version of your book, which was amazing. And it was so fun to hear your voice. I want to know, what's your favorite part of the book?
What's my favorite part of the book? I get a lot of attention for the introduction. I'll leave that for the person. They can go.
I like the surprise.
The surprise. Yes, that is a very surprising introduction. Let's see. What's my favorite part of the
Or what was
book?
Most meaningful for you, right? Like when you think about it, what are you most proud of? Something in that realm.
I think I wrote this book for a version of me that was around 20 plus years ago, when I was really tired of and feeling stuck, feeling like I was in a bind of like, really, this is what life's about. Like I've achieved a certain level of success. I've done pretty well for myself. This relationship's okay. Like there was a lot of okayness and a lot of, I should be happier. What's wrong? Why am I not happier? That there was that malaise, and I felt guilty for wanting more. Felt guilty for, as if there was something wrong with me because I couldn't be satisfied. And so I wrote this book for that version of me, and I knew that he would want it to be funny, that he would want it to really get to the point, be very practical, but also have a lot of depth and meaning. Yeah. And I've had people in my life that I never thought would read this book, but they fit that criteria,
Huh.
contact me and be like, this book's really helping me out. Like they had
Yeah.
no idea that I wrote for them in that way. So knowing that it's landing and it's piercing through where there's so many of these other personal growth books out there that just aren't going to reach those guys.
Yes.
So that's really satisfying for me.
Mm. I love that. Yeah. And as I listened to it, I could just see how you made it relatable to men, with all of your hilarious examples. I said I was walking down the street and I would just burst out laughing and then look around and be like, is anybody watching me? And then the beauty about how you work is then I was like, I don't care. This is like, it was just so great, so freeing. So yeah.
That's the whole point. I think life's a little short to sweat the small stuff.
To be so worried.
I mean, that book's a big reminder for me. It's not like I've achieved some level and I'm done with that stuff. It's everything in there. Even as I was going through the process of launching the book, which was incredibly vulnerable for me, asking people to help and all that kind of stuff. And it was like, oh yeah, I wrote a book about this stuff, like how to be bold, how to be playful, how to get over yourself. And it was like, okay, thanks. I'm glad I did that a little, because I just was like, well, not now. Now I need to be really precious and fragile and serious, so.
Yeah. Right. The perfect guide for yourself, even in those moments.
Right.
Can you say a little bit about dangerous, like what you mean by, becoming dangerous? Because you talk about that in the beginning of the book.
Exactly. Most of us are playing it safe. And one of the reasons how we know we're playing it safe is that life feels flat. Life feels a little like we feel a little trapped or drained. Our relationships can feel distant or
right. Isn't that just how life is? Isn't that just how life goes?
Yeah, sure. Or there's like this chronic state of overwhelm, or there's this chronic state of boredom.
Yeah.
That to me, when I understand what's going on, or at least when I look back at what I've helped other people do, we feel the opposite of those things. So instead of trapped, we feel free. Instead of drained, we feel alive. Instead of isolated, we feel loving and connected. Instead of bored and overwhelmed, we feel peace of mind. Well, those things happen when we're not always playing it safe.
Yes.
Those things happen when we're willing to lean in and challenge our need to be comfortable all the time. They happen when we challenge our need to be safe all the time. We, always protect our time and our energy and money. It definitely opens up when we're willing to get over ourselves. That's when life starts to have a zest and a zing to it. And
yes.
Oh my gosh, I feel my heart rate again. I feel alive, and I don't have to worry, like you said. I don't have to care so much about what others are maybe thinking.
Yeah. I love that you talk about protecting, pleasing, and proving, right? Like when we're stuck in those modes, that life does become dull, that it becomes more just rote. And then we start to wonder, why does it feel like this?
So many of the guys that I talk to are like, I want to find my purpose in life. Well, he's like, you've already got one. You've designed your life. If we were to look at all of your choices throughout the day, you're protecting and pleasing and proving. What does that mean? You're going through your day like, what do I do so that I'm not uncomfortable?
Uh-huh.
What do I do so that I don't put my time or my energy or money at risk? What do I do so that nobody laughs at me or makes fun of me or criticizes me? You to look at all of your choices, I would say over 90% of them fall into the category of answering those things. That's like, you're just in this reactive place. Why would we feel fulfilled?
Right.
Why would we feel lit up? Why would we feel like we have some kind of sense of meaning or anything? So as we've gotten more and more successful, and this is what's happened as I've worked with a lot of really successful guys, is they're not the happy ones. They're actually quite fragile because they've gotten so good at creating comfort in their life, a sense of safety in their life, and having a lot of status, but they're not willing to take chances. They don't feel alive. They feel hemmed in. They're not in a place where they can leverage all of their good fortune to do something else. They've just gotten smaller and smaller because, damn it, the TV over the outside barbecue doesn't work. And what are we going to do? Like they start to freak out about that stuff. So I don't want us to get more and more fragile. I don't want to be more fragile as I get older. So it's like, I want to feel more alive. I want to feel more free. I want to feel more spacious.
Yeah. And you said something in your book that I have often marveled at and said to my own clients when I'm working with men. It's like amazing how I see many men who are willing to, heli-ski, like jump out of a fucking helicopter in the sky on skis onto a mountain or whitewater kayak or whatever. And yet like the prospect of having a vulnerable conversation can be that much more terrifying. And yet that often is the path to more aliveness or more connection.
Exactly. I love that you brought that up, because dangerous, when we, it's a loaded word. We think of danger. So I'm going to put myself in mortal danger.
Right.
But most of us are not going to do anything that's mortally dangerous on a regular timeline. So, but what might be dangerous if I were to bring up that I want to do XYZ in the bedroom with my wife?
Right.
Ooh,
that feels
or what might be dangerous? Yeah, it's like, I just want to raise, or I want to talk to my business partner about revisiting the operating agreement. That's all dangerous stuff. We could feel like, oh man, I don't know if I want to do that.
Yeah.
I'd rather go chuck myself out of an airplane with a parachute. It's like, yeah, I'll go do that. But I won't talk to my business partner. We'll just let this thing drag on and be toxic for the next X years.
Right. Toxic, or like, I'll just be dissatisfied with my sex life or my relationship in some way. And yet, a lot of times when I say to men, like, okay, well, what conversations have you had with your partner about that? It's like, haven't. Nope.
Yeah. Think we understand what's going on here. Yeah.
Yeah. I love what you talk about, that, what's a threat to self-image or comfort can actually seem like a threat to our lives. That we're so comfortable driving around in our cars, drinking our $6 lattes. And then that the likelihood that any of us are actually going to be on the street, or that things are going to fall apart so badly, like, it's just so rare. And you also talked about how you, at a time in your life where you had less money, and I was remembering this, it was like, you're in your 20s and you're living with a bunch of guys and your cockroaches in your apartment, but you guys were happy. And I relate to that. Like, I think back a lot, because I have a couple girls in the front of me. I live in a back house, and in the front house there's these two apartments of young girls in their 20s, and I look at them and I'm like, oh, life was so fun then. And I have this longing, like, what happened to my fun?
Probably drinking and screwing less than they are. So who knows?
Yeah, exactly. So I appreciate, that you bring it back. Like, we think, oh, I'm going to have, if I have more money, if I have more accomplishments, I have more clients, then that's what's going to make me happier. And yet that's not necessarily the case.
I think it's important to say, hey, look, comfort is important, right? Yeah. It's really important that we feel safe. It's really important that we belong and we feel accepted. Yeah. I think where we get off the rails is when we think that's all I need. Then everything's going to be fine. Then I'll be set.
Yeah.
And that's where we reach this point, and it's like, okay, well, I've got a ton of comfort now. I've reached this mental place where I was supposed to have X amount of money and all this. Like, I'm there, but it doesn't feel right. Oh, I must need more. And now we start
of that
to get
same
into that
thing.
Yes. I must not be doing it right because it doesn't feel good.
Yeah.
It actually doesn't feel fulfilling. It's not nourishing. I must need more. And that's the really sad part, is where we just get hooked on that ride instead of, hey, great. Now that I have this level of comfort and safety and self-image, the status, now how do I lean into what makes me feel free or alive or more loving or more have greater peace of mind?
Peace. I love that. The freedom, aliveness, peace of mind, and love.
Yes.
Yeah.
Let's go over why we do that. Because if I were to ask somebody, do you feel fulfilled today? Most of the time, the guy's like, I don't know. Yeah? No. I don't know. And if I say, hey, do you feel free today? And he's like, no. Like, he can be really quick with that. It's like, well, why not? He says, well, look at my schedule. Look, I've booked myself from sun up to sundown. I don't have any time to do this. And I feel like every moment of my day is, accounted for or whatever. Okay, great. Yeah. You feel alive today? No, I feel drained. I've got all this stuff going on, blah, blah. My wife's at me for this and that. So breaking it down into freedom, aliveness, love, and peace gives us a place to start a conversation to say, okay, well, what would have you feel more free today? Not just once you've reached your big magical finish line. Right now. What would that be today? Oh, well, it might be a conversation. It might be, hey, I'm going to take the afternoon off, or I'm going to do ABC a bit more, or what would have me feel more alive? I'm going to pull a prank on my business partner. That's going to be fun. I'm going to see the look on his face when you're just like, oh, you can feel it. It starts to get a little,
I know.
All right, this feels good. Yeah. It gets excited. What would have me feel more loving and connected? I haven't looked at my wife in the eye in 3 weeks. It's just like, what are those things we can get really specific, and we can start to lean in, start to be a little bold, start to be a little playful, and get over ourselves.
And so how do you work with men to make that shift, right? Is it just like, oh, you ask the specifics, what would make you feel more free? So let's integrate that now versus, here are the things I thought would have me feel more
Yeah.
accomplished.
It helps to get out of this, what's normal in our society is these kind of these big goals. Everybody's got their foam core vision board, right? Like, okay, this is the thing. This is what's going to make my life a success. And I always say, well, how would you know this all worked? How would you know it was worthwhile? Because my guess is if you created all of that stuff on your foam core vision board and you still felt trapped or drained or isolated or bored or overwhelmed, we wouldn't have hit the mark.
No.
Okay, so what does that tell us? It tells us you want the opposite: freedom, aliveness, love, and peace, like we said. Okay, well, how can we build what you want in the future? Like, be on that path, but not sacrifice that today.
Mm-hmm.
So then it comes back to, okay, where can we have more freedom and aliveness and love and peace of mind today? Mm-hmm. And that becomes more of the practice as we go. And what I found is that it energizes us. It has us be more creative. We're enjoying ourselves. And for that guy out there that it matters, like, he's more productive then, right?
Yes.
He's not in this state of deprivation and scarcity and pressure in order to get things done. He's not holding himself underwater in order to motivate himself to get all these things done. And then in hopes that one day, man, it's really going to pan out and I'll finally be free.
Do you have an example of either yourself or a client of something that seemed like it wasn't going to be a big deal, or just seemed like it was just a small thing, and yet, it really brought more peace, love, aliveness, or freedom into someone's life?
Gosh, it's usually the tiniest things. It's the tiniest things. There was a while there in one of the coaching groups that I would lead. We did this thing where we would practice getting no's and rejections and that kind of stuff. And it turned into a little bit of a competition. And I think for a while, it was one of the things was, okay, go into Chipotle and ask them if you can make your own burrito. Of course, they're going to say no. But it was just the very act of going into a restaurant. What's that?
The boldness of just doing that. I could
boldness, but also there's kind of a tee-hee-hee moment. Yeah. Like, nobody's getting hurt and they say no. And they're like, I'm so sorry. We just can't allow you to come back behind the glass. And it was like, but they just suddenly feel more alive. And they hadn't felt that aliveness in who knows how long.
Right.
But it was just, hey, I'm being willing to be playful. These people are going to look at me like I'm nuts. I'm okay. Even if they think I'm crazy.
Right. Even if they think I'm crazy.
Yeah. You realize you're not so fragile.
Yeah. Reminded me of driving around in high school and putting weasel poop in people's mailboxes.
Wait, what? Where'd you get weasel poop?
I had a friend who had a weasel, a ferret. Was it a ferret? I think it was a ferret. And
all right.
One night we just decided we were going to drive around and put ferret poop, like, in a little.
I don't condone that kind of behavior. That's terrible.
It's horrible.
I'm going to shame you now for ferret poop.
Yeah, but right, like, okay, so we can mature in how we do things and not, have to include poop anymore, though. But right, so it's just like the aliveness that comes back when we pull these little pranks or add something fun that seems senseless into our lives. And
let's come back to the importance of play.
Yeah.
So play is in our DNA, and I talk about this in the book. It's in our DNA. It's where we experiment. It's where we learn how to be bold. It's where we learn how to experiment, how to push ourselves, make mistakes, figure out how much we can do with our bodies, figure out what we can say. Well, it gives us a structure to get outside of our norms where everything matters so much. So that's if we want to think about what play is like, it's okay to screw up there.
Yes.
If we're not playing, we're not practicing that. Mm-hmm. So why would we expect to be bold or to really go beyond our edges in our normal day-to-day life where we've convinced ourselves that we have to always color within the lines or else, bad monsters are going to come. So I'm not just saying be playful like tee-hee,
right. It's not just about that.
Frivolous.
Yeah.
No, it's really about rewiring our brains, because our brains our primitive brains has convinced us that there's so much on the line.
Yeah. And I appreciate what you talk about in the book too, like that actually leadership and creativity, right? There's a maturity or a depth of playfulness that we all need, or that makes us better leaders, that makes us better lovers, that makes us better parents, right?
Exactly. So for me, on one level, I don't trust anybody I can't play with. if you're taking things so seriously, there's something going on in my nervous system. We need to be worried about something. There's a danger here.
Right.
Right. But if we can be playful and we can still get things done, I think for some folks, when they think that playful means that we're not going to be effective. And I'm offering that we actually are far more effective when we bring a playfulness to it, because essentially we're just being more bold. We're allowed to be creative instead of convincing ourselves so much is on the line. Our creativity goes right out the window when that happens.
Yeah. The other thing I think about as we talk about playfulness is kind of, I don't know if it's the other end of a spectrum or just it feels in line, but like, doing things that are meaningful, right? There's the playful, or there's the aliveness aspect, like you said. And then there's what makes life actually feel more meaningful instead of just dry or shallow or.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Meaningful comes from when we understand that we're playing for something bigger than ourselves. And when we're in our earlier years, it kind of is about us. Like we don't have the capacity to really think about much beyond what ourselves. Do I want to do Friday night? We just get self-absorbed. But a lot of us, if you think about what happens, we may start our professional lives at that time and then play the same game for the next 10, 20, 30 years.
Yeah.
And then wonder why it feels so draining or so blah.
Yeah.
And a lot of times because we haven't transitioned to playing for something bigger than ourselves. And so when I have that conversation with guys that I want to do something more meaningful, they have yet to really zoom out and be like, yeah, how can I leverage all of my years doing XYZ to help others or to play a bigger game that's going to just go beyond my own bottom line.
Yeah. Yeah. And it reminds me of what you talk about boys in the bodies of grown men, or right, where we're these younger parts of ourselves still running the show instead of, stepping up. And I think you talked about it in the context of actually being responsible for our own happiness or our own well-being, but I'm seeing it in this way as well, like maturing or, growing up of that life vision where something is more meaningful.
It comes back to that idea is like, well, if I just do ABC, then I'll be set. That's the big trap. That's what, from the very earliest pages of the book, it's coming back. It's like, you've got to recognize this idea that there is a finish line, that is a trap.
The finish line is a trap.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. Seeking that finish line is a trap. And so one of the things is like, well, once I'm married, once I get a job, I'm done. My job, it'll be up to my job to be the thing that fulfills me. It'll be up to my marriage to be my wife's job to figure out what makes me happy.
Yeah.
And a lot of times we enter into relationships, whether it's with our profession, but mainly with our intimate partner, which is they're just here to make me comfortable. They're just here to make me feel safe and accepted, which is not going to equal what has me feel free or alive or deeply loved or, give me a sense of peace of mind.
Yeah.
Those relationships are going to be challenging for us at times. They're going to hold up a mirror and be like, come on, let's go. You're falling behind, or I see greater, I want more of you in this way, or whatever that might be. And we can get called into a place and it can still be fun.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm appreciating that, right? Where there's something in a way that we love about comfort, and yet then it's also where we get bored and feel dead, and right, it's safe. There's a kind of safety there.
I love it. I don't want to come out like as somebody who's against that stuff. I'm really resistant to doing anything that is outside of that. Again, like this was a reminder for me. Like I love comfort. I love safety. I love being important. Yes. Sign me up all day long. But just understanding when it starts to feel like that flatness or whatever, it's like, oh, here's an opportunity. I could get curious here.
Yeah.
All right. Instead of numbing myself or, oh, I must be doing it wrong, I need more. Okay. What's the thing? What's outside of this, the menu of options here where I can find that thing that would have me feel more alive, more free.
I like that. I was just thinking back to, I think maybe it was in the conclusion or the end of the book where you talked about brains, balls, and heart. And I love it because I've often had this model with men of, head, heart, and I always say head, heart, and balls, and then I try to like make it, something to make it more comfortable. I'm like, or sex or, body or whatever. But I really appreciated it when it's just, laid out, head, heart, and balls, or like you said, brains, balls, and heart. And wondering if you can talk about that a little bit. Like, I think you talked about it in terms of what's a balanced life, or what's often creates that fulfillment or that happiness. I can't remember exactly how you talked about it, but it stands out to me.
Yeah. I'm curious what that is. Brains, balls, and heart. Yeah, it's like, yeah, we can live. I think some of us can get stuck in any one of those things, or maybe a combination of two of those things, and then we
Yes.
leave off the third.
Yep.
Right. So we can exile that third because, oh, it's not okay to have a heart. I could
Right.
be this smart guy during the day, and then I just have lots of sex with people, but I don't have a heart.
Right.
Or
Right. Or I
I can
often
be
work with the
really
nice guys who have like a lot of brain and a lot of heart, but then it's not okay to have sexual desire or power or that primal part.
exactly. Those are the more common versions that we see.
Yeah.
And so it's an invitation. It's like, yeah, you can have all three, and they don't even have to necessarily water it down. It's more about being an adult in those places.
Yeah.
The child version of us is the one it's learning how to navigate that world. It's probably not even the child's job to navigate that world. It's more the adult in us to really understand the power of our brains, the power of our heart, and the power of our balls.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you just wanted to say balls a lot, or if you wanted if there was something else you wanted to talk about there.
Well, I think there was also the aspect of that nobody's going to be perfect, and that the idea of getting back on the horse, right, is like, trying again, being willing to risk, being willing to fall off, being willing to.
I think that's why it's important. We got to do this, like to we got to do this in community. And it sounds weird for me because I'm a bit of a hermit, but I've noticed that if I'm by myself, I tend to be a lot more precious.
Uh-huh.
It's up to me. I got to get it right. But if I'm around a bunch of other guys and we're out and about and we're just having fun and we're not worried about how we look or whatever, there's a thing is like, oh, you face planted. Yeah, I face planted too. Ha ha. Like there's a thing where it's like, oh, it's okay.
Yeah.
It's totally fine. And whatever can relax that part of us that says, oh, I have to always get it right. I have to always appear like I've got it together. I find that when I'm around others that reward that, like, right on, good to go. Like it's such a, what a gift to be able to take myself less seriously.
Yeah. Yeah. And the one other thing I'm thinking of is the part in the book where you talk about how when you look at, was it zebras? You use the example of how prey, like those animals that are prey, actually have their eyeballs on the sides of their head.
Yeah.
But when you look at hunters, right, their eyeballs are in the front and looking forward, and that we actually, as a human species, have our eyeballs in the front. And so, yeah, I would love to hear a little bit more about the distinction in the human life, of being prey versus being a hunter.
When we allow our primitive fear-based mind, like, look at how fortunate we are. Even right now, as crazy as things are,
yeah,
we're still, most of us are in really comfortable conditions, and we're going to be just fine.
Right. I imagine if this pandemic 100 years ago, the Spanish flu, like there wasn't all of this disinfectant, and we couldn't just stay in our homes or walk. I just imagine how different it would have been in a different time.
You know what I hear? Goddamn Zoom, my Wi-Fi's jacked up. Like, it's just like, these are the problems. Yeah. Okay, yeah. This is what I'm hearing. It's just it's just one perspective. The bottom line is that our brains adapt, even though we're these primitive creatures, and even though we've evolved so much technologically and we've evolved so much culturally, we're still operating with a very primitive organ.
Yeah.
And so it's just adapted to say, okay, well, these are the new threats. The new threats are anything that's going to challenge my comfort, my sense of safety, and by safety meaning my money, my time, my energy.
Yeah.
And this is what's going to threaten my sense of belonging or status within the group. So I better make sure that I don't gain too much weight. I don't want to be made fun of. I better make sure that I don't lose money on ABC. Like, those are the things that we're kind of going through our day. Like, oh my God, my Wi-Fi's out. Are you kidding me? I might have to not have this call and I have to reschedule for Tuesday at 3:00. Like, that's the stuff that starts to feel like a real threat.
Yes.
And so our lives, like I said, the whole purpose of our lives can be, how am I going to avoid any discomfort? How am I going to avoid any risk? How am I going to avoid anything that threatens my self-image?
Yeah.
That's what prey animals do. Their whole thing is, I just got to avoid. I got to avoid long enough that I can have sex and, keep the species moving along.
Yeah.
That's really it. Yeah. And I'm like, let's look around here. Let's look at how fortunate we are and think about how much of the time we spend worrying about our, quote, threats.
Yeah.
And I just find it helpful to look in a mirror and be like, yeah, we're not prey animals. We're, as I say in the book, we're fucking hunters. Like, look. You are a hunter. Act accordingly. Act accordingly. That means we move towards what we want. We are creators in that way. Let's stand on the shoulders of all the people that were so unfortunate before us and then use that.
I love it. Thank you. Well, thank you for writing this book, and thank you for being here today. I'm curious, what do you want to leave men with?
Oh, more fun. More like look at how I just, that's what I see. I had a grandfather that went through the Depression, fought in World War II. My father was in a war, had to deal with, he was a cop and dealt with people that killed other people. It was just horrible shit. And I'm not having to deal with that. And it's like, well, I see people getting it's seemingly more and more fragile. We're losing touch with our ability to enjoy our lives, even though we're more, quote, fortunate than we've ever been. And so I don't like that trend. I don't like that trend. Do we still have big problems to solve? Absolutely. But I think we're going to solve them from a better place when we feel more energized and more loving and more solid in ourselves, instead of being fixated on how important we need to be, et cetera, et cetera.
Thank you. Thank you for being an inspiration in my life, for allowing me to see over the years that I can actually have more fun and do what's more enjoyable for me, that I actually then I do get to be more in service and create a bigger difference in the world, because I have the energy to keep going, and I have the aliveness and the peace and the freedom, to keep doing what matters to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
you are one of those people. You do that naturally. I remember, I'm just thinking of some experiences I've seen you, like whether you've been facilitating or whatever, there's just a fire and a humor and it's just like, you just stand out. You just shine. So the idea, like, it would pain me to think that you would somehow turn that down in order to, quote, be successful. Like, I'm like, hell no, turn it up.
Turn it
Bring
up.
it.
I love
Turn
it.
it up. Yes.
Thank you. Where can men find you and find your book?
The book is available, depending on what country you're in. It's going to be on Amazon, and any bookstore should be around, but otherwise Amazon's the easiest place to get it.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Shana. I had a blast. It was great to reconnect.
Yes, me too. I'm so glad you joined us for today's episode of Man Alive. I hope you enjoyed our conversation and it gave you something to consider and explore in your life. If you like what you heard, I'd be so grateful for you to subscribe and write a quick review that helps men like you find us. And again, head over to shanajamescoaching.com/quiz or text the word ALIVE, ALIVE, to 44144 to get a sense of how you can become a better lover and leader. You'll start to see how you can be both more respected and desired in your unique and genuine way. If you don't feel as confident or as excited about life or love as you'd like to be, this quiz is a really great starting point and will guide you toward a more passionate love life and a more inspiring and successful career. So again, text ALIVE, ALIVE, to 44144 or head over to shanajamescoaching.com/quiz. Join us each week for a new episode of Man Alive.